Happy Thanksgiving, guys. It's Russo with Backdoor Fantasy Sports, and we've got 3 NFL games on Thanksgiving. So if you're watching this the night before or if you're watching it the day of, I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. All 3 of these games look like they should be a lot of fun. We've got 3 high over-unders. We're starting things off at 1 o'clock with Green Bay versus the Detroit Lions. Green Bay Packers versus Lions, 48.5 point over-under, 2.5 point spread favoring the Lions, playing in Detroit. And then we've got the 4:30 p.m. game, which is the Chiefs versus the Cowboys, playing in Dallas. 52.5 point over-under, should be a lot of fun. We've got 3.5 point spread favoring the Chiefs, closer than I expected. The Chiefs, they really tightened things up against the Colts last week. But the Cowboys offense is legit. And then we're wrapping things up at 8:20, the night game. 51.5 point over under. We've got the Bengals versus the Ravens playing in Baltimore. That's our only outdoor game. We're going to talk about the weather in that one as well. 7.5 point spread favoring the Ravens. I believe Joe Burrow is back for this game. So is JaMarr Chase. T. Higgins is out. So we're kind of careful about how we're taking pieces of that game. Took me a minute there to find what I liked in this game, but I've got 6 picks on Prizepicks and a 5-man ladders entry that we're going to break down. Let's talk about it. So we got, for Prizepicks to get us started, it's a lot of fantasy score. I'm going to cover other options. I know not everyone likes fantasy score, but I'm taking a lot of fantasy score for this one. It's just what I felt best about. So to start us off, I'm going JaMarr Gibbs, 18.5 fantasy score. Going to go Rashee Rice, 17 fantasy score. George Pickens, I was a little nervous about it, but he's off the injury report. We're going to take his fantasy score over 15. We're going Christian Watson. I got this at 55.5 receiving yards. These lines have been bouncing all over the place, so it's probably going to be different, maybe higher or lower by the time you see this, especially if you see it the day of Thanksgiving. But going Chase Brown fantasy score, and then JaMarr Chase. I got it at 91.5 receiving yards. I know that's going to continue to go up, but if you can lock it in at 91.5, great. So for the ladders play, I don't even think I covered every game. I guess I did cover every game on the ladders play. But yeah, if you're new to ladders, they give you, it's all yardage plays over on Underdog, and they give you 3 different tiers. So if all your players hit the first tier, you get 2.5x on a 5-man. And then if they all hit their mid tier, which is like the average line you're going to find on platforms, that's going to go 10x. But what I love about these is if you hit that top tier, it bumps all the way up to 1000x. So we're going to hit one on the video one of these days. I can feel it. We're going to try to get it done before the NFL season's over. It's hard to hit, but jump up to 1000x. That could be a lot of fun for us on Thanksgiving. So here's what we're taking. We're going JaMarr Gibbs rushing yards. It's set at 60, 72, and 150. I got to get my phone again because it's small on my screen, and I want to read these off a little easier. So let me just hop on here real quick. Okay, 130. Glad I double checked. So 60, 72, and 130. So you'd have to have an awesome game, awesome day for fantasy, which he's been doing, but not asking too much for him to hit that high tier. Then we got Rashee Rice, going to take his receiving yards. We got 60, 76, and 140. And then I'm going Jake Ferguson. Now, this isn't always just because of who I think is going to ball out the most. Some of it is just the type of lines that ladders is giving us. So Ferguson seemed like the most doable. 25, 37, and 70. So he would need a pretty big game to hit 70, but this is a huge over-under, and I think that they're going to be all over CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. So I think that Dak is going to have to look his way in this game if it turns into a shootout. That's just my thought. And then we got Chase Brown receiving yards. We're going 10, 21, and 50 for Chase Brown's line. And then JaMarr Chase, 70, 94, and 150 is his high tier. Sounds high, but it's JaMarr Chase. He's got Joe Burrow back, and it's against the Ravens. So, and plus the suspension. Coming off that suspension, I think he's going to want to make a statement, and there's no T. Higgins. So, I mean, everything is pointing in the direction of JaMarr Chase, in my opinion. So if you guys want to jump on this ladder slip, if you haven't signed up for it yet, use code BACKDOOR. They're going to give you, over at Underdog, $100 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. In addition to that, I'm going to give you a free month in the premium Discord. Just hit me at the email below that I have down there for you guys. Let me know, just send me a screenshot or something showing you're using the code, and I will give you a month in the Discord. And then it's also Feast Week over at Underdog. So they're dropping additional promos tomorrow. Today they did 50% NBA profit boosts. And then tomorrow they've got supercharged entries. So a lot of reasons to go join Underdog. We also have Chalkboard. They're running specials as well. Code Backdoor will get you a free pick plus 100% deposit match to help you stack up your portfolio, and the free pick will help you cash that first slip. Sleeper's got a killer deal as well. $20 free entry. You also get a protected play, and you get a deposit match. For Sleeper, the code is BackdoorFS. Make sure you add the FS at the end there to get the discount and the free entry. And all that information is down below. If you sign up for any of my stuff, hit me at the email and I'll get you a month in the Discord. All right, let's start breaking it down. If you guys don't mind, do me a favor, like the video. It helps me out a lot. I really appreciate the support. So we got Rashee Rice here. So the reason I'm going with this fantasy score, for a few reasons. I do like the receiving yards as well. The fantasy scores just hit more often for him. So last 5, I think it's the same as 2025. So yeah, he's only played 5 games in 2025. He's cashed his fantasy score 4 out of the 5 games, coming off this great game against Indianapolis, where he went for 24. Kind of a slow start. They had to really figure things out in the second half, and they did. I don't think anybody for the Colts had like a good game. They shut down Jonathan Taylor. They shut down their pass catchers for the most part. They did a good job. So this will be hopefully a situation here where he can eat against the Cowboys, but the Cowboys are able to keep it competitive. With the projection being at 52.5, I think that Vegas is expecting them to be able to keep it competitive. Dallas also has home field advantage, and Dallas is still, I think that the Cowboys catch a lot of flack all the time, but I think that their offense is really legit. That comeback against the Eagles was very impressive. And George Pickens was a little hobbled, but he should be good to go. He's not even on the injury report now. So I'm going fantasy score. Part of the reason is the touchdown matchup. 31st, Dallas is 31st in touchdowns allowed. About 3.4 per game. To wide receivers, they're 32nd, so they're last in the league for touchdowns allowed to wide receivers, 1.6. Now, he's gone 2 games without getting in the end zone here. Rashee Rice has, but he's got 4 in the previous 3 games. So I just like that little bit of insurance in case the yardage isn't there, but he does get in the end zone. Plus, full point PPR, you can get there without him even getting in the end zone. So you look at the fantasy score. Yeah, no touchdowns against Indianapolis, still put up 24 fantasy score because that full point PPR really stacks up. If we look at wide receivers as of late, these props, these are wide receiver props that Outlier is pulling up and showing you how they did. So AJ Brown cashed his, went for 25. His line was at 13.5. Tyler Lockett didn't get his done, but I mean, he almost did. He still went for 6.3. His line was at 6.5, but it's Tyler Lockett. I mean, he's looking a little bit better with the Raiders, but it is what it is. Michael Wilson cashed his. This was back on November 3rd, before he really broke out. His line was set at 6. He went for 9.1. And then in that same game, Marvin Harrison Jr. was able to eat. He went for 22.6 when his line was 12.5. So it's looking like, I mean, arguably the wide receiver ones are kind of able to eat to a degree here with some of these recent comparisons. If we're talking about the receiving yards, he did go for a lot of yards last week. But the reason I like the fantasy score is like, if you look at this, he's had a couple games where he's kind of, he's beat it, but just barely. He's only had 1 game where he's really crushed on the receiving yards. He's a little bit more of a PPR guy. He's not, like this last game, he did break off a big play. But if you look at his average yards per reception and you actually go by the median, it's only 10.3 is what he's averaging on the season. So you'd have to stack up pretty quick. I think the fantasy score will probably get us there if the yards get there, because it's going to require a lot of receptions unless he breaks one off. It is Dallas, so he could break one off. His longest reception in that game against the Colts was 47 yards. Other than that, it's still impressive in some of these games, but 25 being your longest and 29, it's not like anything too crazy. A lot of these really good wide receiver ones, you'll see like multiple games where they've broke one off for 50 or 60 yards. I think Rashee Rice is great, though. I'm not trying to downplay him. I'm just saying the way they utilize him, they're very PPR, which is points per reception. If you guys are unfamiliar with that, it's a fantasy football term. But yeah, so Dallas matchup wise, we know that it's soft. 29th in receiving yards, about 167.5 to wide receivers is what they're giving up. And then if we look at these past props, the receiving yards are cashing quite a bit. You had Devontae Smith went for 89 when his line was 57. You had AJ Brown went for 110 when his line was 57.5. Both of those were 57.5. We got Trey Tucker and Tyler Lockett both hit their yardage. So if you prefer the yardage for Prizepicks, just take that. You don't have to take what I take. Jack Besh also beat his yardage in that game. Then Michael Wilson went for 61 when his line was 25.5. I believe Harrison Jr. for the Cardinals, the reason that his fantasy score was so high is I think he got 2 touchdowns that game, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll keep it moving here. JaMarr Gibbs. So similar reason. I want the fantasy score because I want the upside of the touchdowns. He's been absolutely hot. He's been getting the majority of the work lately. It has not been a committee lately. Cleared his fantasy score in 4 out of his last 5 matchups. This last game against New York, he went absolutely nuts. 55.4 fantasy score. If we look at the touchdown matchup, his ability to get in, Green Bay is tough. They are, but he gets a lot of opportunities. They're tough in the red zone. They've been allowing running backs to run all over them as of late, though. They're tough to anybody trying to get in the end zone. Only 1.9 per game is about what they're averaging. Their defense, they're ranked 3rd, and then to running backs, still ranked 3rd, about 0.5 touchdowns per game. But this is a different situation. I think there's going to be a lot of energy in Detroit on Thanksgiving, and I think that he's probably good for at least 1 touchdown. But the receiving yards wise, the rushing and receiving is a great receiver too. But if I'm not taking the fantasy score, I do like the rushing yards the best. He went for 219 last week. We're not expecting him to go for over 200 yards in this matchup, but it is a little bit softer with the rushing yards allowed with Green Bay. They're ranked 12th, so just above average, about 85.3 yards per game any given running back is putting up against them. He's got 3 out of his last 5 games where he's gone for 136 or more, so we're hoping for something like that for the ladders play. Let's look at the head-to-head here. So they've been kind of progressively been able to slow him down and stop him with the rushing yards. So keep that in mind. Maybe you don't want the rushing yards. It's showing them ranked. Okay, yeah, so that's not specifically to running backs, but let's look at what the attempts looked like. So he actually was getting some decent attempts in some of these games. I mean, this game from last year, he had 15 attempts. His average yards per carry have been pretty low. Last time they matched up, it was just 2.1. It just feels like the energy's changed with Detroit, though, as of late. This is back before Dan Campbell was calling plays and whatnot. And the last few games, Gibbs has just been getting a crazy amount of the share. Let's look at it for a minute. Rush share these last couple of games. Yeah, see what I'm saying? Really, these last 2 games, 57%, and then 75% in that last game against the Giants. Went to overtime, but yeah, crazy. If we come down here, it's kind of it's a little bit above average with running backs hitting their rushing yards props. Excuse me, I drank a bunch of coffee now. I'm like, my throat's all jacked up. But yeah, the running back props have been hitting a little off and on, but a little bit more often than not. We got 6 hits and then 4 misses. Jordan Mason, Devin Singletary, Tyron Tracy. Singletary and Tracy both hit theirs. Singletary's line was at 19.5. He went for 44. Tracy's was at 39.5. He went for 88. So they both crushed their lines, both doubled them, a little more than double. And that's one of the most recent examples we've got. I mean, you've got the situation with Jordan Mason. He cashed his, he doubled his, but Aaron Jones didn't really get it going. He just barely missed his line. But you also have a J.J. McCarthy problem there. So if we go back a little bit further, Rico Dowdle crushed his, went for 130. Jalen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell both beat their lines. So I like the matchup for rushing yards, even though historically they've been able to slow him down a little bit. I'm just kind of relying on it being a little bit of a different situation this time around. Okay, George Pickens. He's been doing crazy things these last 2 games. That's why my only hesitation was him popping up on the injury report. But if they say he's good to go, I hope he is, because I think that he's going to be the focus of the Chiefs. I think that George Pickens is currently the wide. I mean, you guys probably agree, but I think he is the guy in Dallas right now. because it has not slowed down since CeeDee Lamb got back. It's actually got better because there's less attention on him. But yeah, 29.4 fantasy score against Las Vegas, to be expected. But then Philly, he puts up 29.6 in a game that they were like losing by quite a bit in the first half. We can see what they did to some of the recent props that Outlier is pulling up for us. Not a huge sample size, but they did shut down Alec Pierce in that game, fantasy score wise, and Josh Downs. And Jonathan Taylor really didn't get much done. Cortland Sutton back here on the 16th. He didn't cash his fantasy score either. He came close, but didn't quite get there. But this is a different situation for Dallas. Like, George Pickens is a totally different weapon. I love Alec Pierce. I went and traded a bunch for him to get him in Dynasty because I really believe in where things are going for him. But Josh Downs, it's like, okay, that's not that surprising. Cortland Sutton, the Broncos have been kind of like, they haven't really figured out their offense. They've been a little bit disappointing on offense this year so far with how good they were playing last year. So I have a lot more faith in Pickens. I don't think he's done well in the past, but this is back when he was playing with Pittsburgh. This is the only head-to-head that we've got. He only had 8 fantasy score. So I want to give you guys all that information, even though I still believe I still believe that he's going to be able to at least get us more than 15. But you notice I didn't take his receiving yards, excuse me, in the ladders play. It was just a little too high. The high tier was 140. That's what he literally just did in these games, these great games he just had. He went from 144, 146. Now you're coming off of whatever that injury was, and you've got the Chiefs. No, I don't want to have him in the ladder slip and have us try to get to 140. I hope he does. It'll crush that fantasy score, and I'll regret not taking that on ladders. But yeah, I'm going to fade it on ladders and go with the lower line with Ferguson. All right, Christian Watson. So I know that we're not getting it at 49.5. Yeah, these have been moving a lot. There we go, 55.5. What Prizepicks has it at? So this is on the head-to-head. I'm going to go to the last 5. Is that all that he's played in 2025? Yeah, because he came back from injury too. But he came back looking really good with the injury. Popped off for 85 yards his first game back against the soft situation here with the Steelers. And then it's been kind of like consistently just sort of right around where this line has been. But I like this situation for him in this high over-under in this game against Detroit. If we take a look here, Detroit is actually 16th, so middle of the road in receiving yards allowed. Specifically wide receivers, it softens up. 21st in receiving yards allowed. The nature of this game, I'm just really hoping it turns into a shootout. That's why I want Watson, because I think that they're going to focus on slowing down Josh Jacobs. And other than that, I think that the main player who has an opportunity to do well here is Christian Watson. Let me double check with that high tier. Oh yeah, I didn't even take him on ladders. Never mind. I do feel like I thought about it. I think maybe his line was set just a little too high. I think I liked some of these other guys better. So if we come down here and take a look at past props, it's about 50-50. You had Hodgins and Wan'Dale Robinson. That was a little bit of a deciding factor for me. You had the Giants with Jameis Winston, who is really good. He's still really good. I know that he is a little wild. He'll throw some picks now and then, but he played a great game. And he gets the team hyped up and stuff. But you had Isaiah Hodgins, who this was only his second game with the Giants. He's got a connection with some of the coaching staff from the Steelers. They brought him in, but yeah, he popped off for 42 and his line was at 18.5. Then you got Wan'Dale Robinson went for 156. So that makes me pretty excited about, and that's the most recent sample size we've got, the most recent samples. So it made me feel pretty good about Watson being able to just get us over this 55.5 receiving yards. I also do kind of like his receptions. His receptions were set at just 3.5. It's an EV plus play on Outlier. So if you want to pivot to that, you could. There's expected value here. He's done it 3 out of his last 5 games. Do we have a head-to-head here? Yeah, so 3 in the first time he played them, and then 4 receptions last time he played them, both from last season. So I decided to go with the receiving yards over the receptions, but I do still like the receptions. So let's go back here, take a little bit more of a look. So yeah, He's getting about 4 targets his first 3 games, then it bumped up to 5, then it bumped up to 7. He turned that into 5 receptions. The yardage really wasn't there though. Most receptions, but didn't eclipse these yards. Typically, he's capable of catching on average pretty deep. So yeah, longest reception was back here against Carolina. He had a 52-yarder. But if we look at the average yards per reception, we got 3 straight weeks of 21 yards or more per catch. So that's kind of like what I'm looking for him to get back to. I think that if this is a shootout, then I think that they're going to have to look his way, and he could, get some chunk plays and stack up those yards for us. All right, Chase Brown. So this is on the head-to-head. I'll talk about this first. First time he matched up against Baltimore, he didn't do well. But what I love about this is both of these games were just massive shootouts. This first matchup was 41-38. He only had 8 receiving yards. And then this next matchup was 34-35. Just crazy. So yeah, 69 point total and 79 point total. Like, that's wild. That made me really excited for this game, even though we've got some question marks, like Burrow just getting back, the Ravens not looking like the Ravens of last year. So yeah, I like Chase Brown. I'm going to be taking the fantasy score. He did have touchdowns in both of those head-to-heads. And then the matchup against Baltimore, I apologize for my voice, guys. I shouldn't have drank that coffee. That's my bad. 13th in touchdowns allowed overall is Baltimore, and then specifically to running backs, 19th. So they allow at least 1 touchdown per game through 2025 so far, just to running backs. If we take a look here, so he hasn't been getting touchdowns that much lately, but no, that's not what I wanted to do. Go back. Where's the fantasy score? Okay, I thought it was to the left. It's to the right. But the fantasy score has still been producing because he's another guy who can get a lot of receptions. I'll show you guys. We'll go back to the receiving yards for a minute here. So yeah, been cashing those receiving yards somewhat regularly. That seems a little low. Is that what his line's really at? 19.5. Prizepicks has it at 20.5. Still, I think he's good for it. He's cashed it in 4 straight games. But here's what I want to show you. Any given game, he can get a bunch of targets and a bunch of receptions. Like this game where he popped off against Chicago for 75 yards, he had 14 targets. This is a running back, 8 receptions. And then the following game, he had 8 targets and turned it into 6 receptions. So that will stack the fantasy score. I mean, they got blown out in that game, but that will stack the fantasy score. He was not getting much yardage with that particular game, but this matchup historically looks pretty solid for him. At least the most recent one, he went for 52. He had 11 targets in that game, 9 receptions. So we love that for the fantasy score. We also are hoping that he can get us over that 50 receiving yards mark for the ladders play. So there's several things to like here. Let's see how he did on his rushing yards in case you guys want to take a look at that. So both head-to-heads, he didn't get the rushing yards done. If I was going to do it, I'd probably go rushing and receiving because he's such a threat through the air as well. He actually, so he went for 42 rush yards, 52 receiving yards, so 94 total yards in that game. Great outing. If we look at the last 5, look at the rushing and receiving yards. He's doing one or the other. He's going to cash one or the other. So I like the rushing and receiving together personally. Matchup soft to both, middle of the road, and I mean actually below average to both. Rushing yards allowed. Let's go specifically to running backs. 17th in rushing yards allowed to running backs and 26th in receiving yards. So that's why I ended up going receiving yards on the ladders play for his. If we take a look here, let's go specifically to the fantasy score though, actually, for these comparables, because that's what I took on the Prizepicks slip. So we'll go back here. Oh, they only have one option. It's Aaron Jones on November 9th, 15.9. So we will just take a look at the rushing, receiving, recent props for you guys. All right, so about 50-50. They're pulling up 8 props as of late from running backs. Most recently, Breece Hall. He went for 119. His line was at 87.5, so he cashed his. We got 3 misses here. And then we got a couple cashes. Aaron Jones cashed his. Devon Achane cashed his. Kyle Monungai did not cash his. That was back on October 26th, though he probably wasn't getting as much run as he is these days. DeAndre Swift beat his in that game, though, just barely. So there's the options for Chase. I think overall he can get us the 14 fantasy score, and I do like the receiving yards, the upside there. All right, JaMarr Chase. This is the play I'm most confident in out of all the plays, and I think you guys probably are too. But yeah, T. Higgins will not be in this game. JaMarr Chase was just suspended for a game, so he's probably a little salty. He's got this beautiful matchup, and he's got Joe Burrow coming back. Joe Burrow, I think, is going to give him a million targets, especially in this matchup. If he wants to get right, if Joe Burrow wants to get right, coming back from injury, throw it to your best target. And if you're not, dump it off to Chase. That's why I like both of the Chases, JaMarr Chase and Chase Brown. So I think he's going to heavily target JaMarr Chase, and then when in doubt, check it down. That's why I like both those guys. But yeah, matchup wise to wide receivers, 22nd in receiving yards allowed, 153.9 on average. But look at what he's done historically. First matchup last year, 193 receiving yards. That wasn't his best game that year against them. He put 193 against them first time around. Second time around, 264. Oh my goodness. So yeah, those 12 targets in the first game, 10 receptions turned it into 193 yards. And then 17 targets, 11 receptions turns it into 264 yards. Average yards per reception, 19.3 first game, and then 24 in the second game. Let's look at the longest reception. Yeah, both times he matched up, he had a 70-yarder in both of them. That's what we want for that ladders play and for the Prizepicks play, but we want him to stack up and have a great night. Let's take a look here. Surprisingly, we're not seeing a bunch of green on some of these props. It's because some of these guys are no-namers. Isaiah Williams, the Jets, they're kind of still figuring. They're in massive rebuild. John Mechie made his debut, I think last week, maybe the week before. But yeah, he had a solid week last week. His line was at 24.5. He went for 65. Adonai Mitchell. The Jets are kind of quietly stacking up some wide receivers. They've still got Garrett Wilson. So I like what they're doing, like thinking about the future. I think John Mechie and Adonai Mitchell playing behind Garrett Wilson, you got a pretty deep wide receiver room as far as young guys with potential. I like what they're doing there. Let's see. With the Browns, Isaiah Bond didn't get his, but it was also, I believe, Dylan Gabriel at that point. Cedric Tillman cashed his. He's a deep play kind of guy. His line was at 17.5. He went for 52. We got a couple more misses. And then Jalen Naylor had that big game against them. His line was at 19.5. He went for 124. It's JaMarr Chase. He's going to cash this. If they stop JaMarr Chase with how bad they've been through the air, then good on them. Then we'll take the L. So wrapping it up here, this is just the ladders play, but you could take it if you wanted it on Prizepicks. We're going to go Jake Ferguson receiving yards because I just think they're going to be like, yeah, we'll let you try to beat us with Ferguson, but we're going to be all over CeeDee Lamb. We're not totally threatened by Javonte Williams. It's like, when I say that, I think Javonte's had a great year, but he's not Jonathan Taylor. And they shut down Jonathan Taylor, and they shut down the wide receivers. So I think that maybe Ferguson is gonna get a little bit of extra looks out of necessity. So yeah, Kansas City ranked 7th in receiving yards allowed. 203.5 is what teams are able to put up on them all season. That's low. And then to tight ends, it does soften up a little bit. They're ranked 14th. About 49.5 of that 205 has been tight ends. He just went off for 60 yards in that last game against the Eagles when they came back and won. And if we look at the targets, they really haven't been that bad. There's only 2 games here for a tight end. There's only 2 games where the targets weren't really there. 3 receptions against Carolina on 3 targets, and then just 1 target against Denver, and then no receptions. Then it bounced back, 7 targets, 5 receptions, 5 targets, 4 receptions, and then 6 targets, 5 receptions. So he's got a good catch rate here. A little bit of a soft spot in the defense. I think all the distractions for Kansas City with Lamb and Pickens. I'm thinking if we're going to take a yardage play for ladders, he only needs to beat what? 60? Let's double check it. 70. So he needs to do a little bit better than he did last week against Philly. We know he's done that earlier in the season. So I was feeling kind of good about it. I was like, maybe this is the play. If we come down here to tight ends beating their lines, receiving yards wise against Kansas City, there's been a little bit of a funnel here. So yeah, Adam Troutman cashed his, Evan Ingram, same game, Dawson Knox cashed his, Jackson Hawes, same game, and Dalton Kincaid. Dalton Kincaid went for 101 receiving yards when his line was at 29.5. So you see why I'm leaning more Ferguson for this, because with ladders, you want the floor for the low line. You want to be able to hit all of them, but we're looking for a play that we're like, I do feel good about this floor. It's not super boomer bust. Like he's either going to hit the top tier, he's going to burn us. So we're looking for a balance there. And then midline, you want to feel pretty good about that. But this high line of 70 is not asking too much. So this felt like the good way to wrap up the ladder slip. So I didn't mention it at the top of the show, but tomorrow I'm going to do my best to any plays that I make for NFL on Thanksgiving. Instead of just dumping them into the Discord, I'm going to put them in the Discord first, and then I'm going to share them to the community section of YouTube just to celebrate Thanksgiving with you guys a little bit. I'm not saying that I'm dropping dynamite in there and they're all going to cash. I'm just saying I want to hang with you guys a little bit. I hope you guys have a happy Thanksgiving. So make sure you're subscribed and turn your notifications on if you want to be notified when I'm dropping new plays. And I recommend just checking in to the community section of my channel, because they base the notification time-wise based on how often you like my videos. And that's the case with any channel. Your notifications come faster the more you like a channel. It's like a stupid algorithm thing that they introduced a couple years ago. So my point is, you might not get notified in time. So you might want to just check in if you do want to jump on some of these plays that I'll be posting throughout the day tomorrow, because I'm going to try to make a decent amount of slips. And if I make any for tomorrow, tonight, after this video, I'll post them too. I'm just going to do a little Thanksgiving thing there with sharing all the plays in the community section because I like doing fun stuff like that. All right, let's jump into some bonus plays and then we're going to get out of here. So this is the optimizer from Daily Grind. I've got it set to NFL and I've got it set to Prizepicks. It crunches all the numbers with all the platforms around the market and sports books, you name it. It crunches all of them. And then it compares it to the line you're getting on the platform you have selected. And then it puts the best plays on your radar. So that's how this works. You can get this tool for yourself with 25% off when you use code BACKDOOR, and you can lock it in for as long as you want. I love it for NFL. I absolutely love it for basketball though. NBA, college basketball. It's basketball, I think just the nature of the game. There's just more plays moving around. So it catches some of these platforms slipping, and you can lock it in real quick. So starting us off here, we got Jared Goff, over 16 fantasy score. They love it. 58% odds to hit the over. Chase Brown, they don't like his rush attempts at 14.5, maybe because this is going to turn into a shootout. Just under 55% odds to hit the under. Okay, that's getting into Sunday. If you want to jump on it, CJ Stroud, they like his fantasy score over 55%-ish. David Montgomery, under his rush attempts. Yeah, he hasn't been getting as much lately. 9.5, they like it under 54%. Jake Ferguson, receptions over 4.5. We love to hear it. We love to hear it. Because that's kind of the narrative I was feeling myself. They got it at almost 55% for him to go for at least 5 receptions. Pinnacle has it at minus 134. Yeah, everybody's got a ton of juice on him going over those 4.5 receptions. That made me feel pretty good. All right, Amon-Ra St. Brown plus Christian Watson receiving yards combo. They like them to combine for more than 132.5. I think that's a great play. I would have taken Amon-Ra St. Brown on ladders, but they just had this line set so high for the top tier. But yeah, 54.7% odds to hit the over on this combo. This is another Sunday play. Jonathan Taylor, they don't like his fantasy score 18.5. That's ridiculous. I know he's got kind of a tough schedule moving forward, but I'm not taking Jonathan Taylor's under. I just won't do it. Christian McCaffrey, same thing. Fantasy score. This is Sunday. Over. They like him under 20.5. Have we not learned anything yet? Do not take this under. I get it that it's crunching the numbers based off of what all the other platforms are doing, but that's too scary for me. But they're saying it should go under 54% odds to hit. Patrick Mahomes, they don't think he's going to throw an interception tomorrow. 0.5, they're saying take the under 54.46%. We got this combo here. This is not Good Friday, Black Friday, which I will be putting out a video for that game as well. Caleb Williams plus Jalen Hurts. They like that pass yards combo to go under 420.5, 54.39%. All right, here's a receiving yards combo that's relevant. George Pickens plus Rashee Rice, 149. That is a great deal. 149.5. Both of those. I mean, Pickens could do that alone. Rashee Rice could do that alone. So I like that too. That's a good one, guys. 54.36% odds to hit the over. Let's see. I'm going to try to stick to Thanksgiving if I can. JaMarr Gibbs rushing plus receiving yards over 108.5. I think that's a great line too. 53.84% odds to hit the over. And then we're going to end prize picks here, and then we'll jump into some underdog. Last play is going to be CeeDee Lamb plus Rashee Rice over 154.5. 53.84% odds to hit the over. That's interesting that they have CeeDee paired with Rice at a higher line than Pickens with what Pickens has been doing. But they think they're both cashing. So, all right, let's jump into underdog. And we will wrap things up. I'm going to go make some dinner, relax a little bit, and get ready for Thanksgiving tomorrow. I hope you guys are all having a good Thanksgiving. I know not everyone gets to see family and stuff, and I know that's tough. I don't see my family on Thanksgiving, so I feel you. I see my in-laws, which I love, and that's family too. But my immediate family, yeah, I don't get to see them on the holidays because I live in a different state than all of them. So I feel for you, and I hope you have a good Thanksgiving, even if you're not around family. All right, so on Underdog, here's what they're liking. They like, okay, this is a Sunday play, but it has got a lot of juice, so I'll share it. Bo Nix pass attempts over 32.5 on Underdog. They got a lot of juice, 56% odds to hit. Josh Jacobs, they don't like his fantasy score, 14.05% odds to hit the under, 55.9%. I'm going to try to stick to the Thanksgiving, but you guys can see the plays anyways. I'm just not going to call them out. Lamar Jackson, they don't like his fantasy score. I think it's a little high on Underdog, 22.25% odds to hit the under. Not odds to hit the under. That's the line, 22.25, and they're calling about 55% odds to hit the under. Jared Goff, they like his fantasy score over 17.75. They got it at a 54.54% odds to hit the over. Javonte Williams fantasy score, they like the under. It's at 13.65. About 54% odds to hit the under. Derrick Henry receptions under 1.5. Yeah, Derrick Henry, that was a tough one. It's like, it feels weird wanting to fade Henry. But I think if this game turns into a real shootout, I don't know that Baltimore is going to be able to control it enough to just be like, we're going to just get Henry rolling anyways. He could is a great matchup, but historically, he doesn't pop off against the Bengals, which you would think he would. Excuse me. So they like his receptions under. He's not much of a pass catcher. He's capable, but he's not a specialist. So they're calling it under 1.5 receptions. That's pretty ballsy though, because I guess he would need 2 to cash. So they're calling it under 2 essentially. 54% odds to hit the under. Let's see what else we got here. Amon-Ra St. Brown. They don't think he's getting in the end zone tomorrow. On Thanksgiving, I don't know about that, odds makers. 0.5 touchdowns. They like him under, about 54%. Travis Kelce under fantasy score. Another one that I'm like, are you sure about that? Because I just think sometimes these holidays, they start hamming it up. And Patrick is like, I'm going to get Kelce a TD today. Like, maybe not, but it just makes me nervous taking the under. I'd rather just fade it overall if I'm not taking it. Zay Flowers under his fantasy score. That's interesting to me because if this turns into a shootout, I think Zay is going to have a good game. They're calling the 12.85 fantasy score to go under. 53.84% odds to hit the under. Xavier Worthy rushing yards. I don't think he's going to be getting any rushing yards. 4.5 is low for him. 53.82% odds to hit the under. Chase Brown fantasy score under. I don't know about that. It is half point PPR on Underdog, and we're getting it. I guess they're calling it pretty close. It's at 14 on Prizepicks. They're saying 13.35. They don't like it. 53.65%. So go with your gut. You guys always got to I show you what I'm getting into. You guys make your own decisions on what you want to take, obviously. They think Javonte Williams is going under 16.5 rush attempts. That's what the line is on Underdog. 53.45% odds to hit the under. Dak Prescott. Yeah, I think Dak's going to have a big game. Pass plus rush yards, 269.5. They like the over, 53.42%. They like his rush attempts over 2.5. I think that sounds good too. 53.37% odds to hit the over. George Pickens under his fantasy score. You're making me nervous, Optimizer. 13.85 on Underdog. They like it under. No way I'm taking that under though. That's just a fade to me, if anything. 53.34% odds to hit the under. We're going to wrap it there, guys. I'm going to go get into the rest of my night. I really appreciate you. Don't forget, if you do sign up with any of my codes, hit me in the email so I can give you a free month in our premium Discord. You can come hang out with the crew. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving. I'm going to run a Black Friday special too, by the way, for the premium Discord. Just because I want to give you guys something. Like I'm going to try to do like something like 90% off or something. They won't let me do 100% off. Otherwise I would do that, but we'll go all the way to 90%. I'll drop that probably in tomorrow's videos, pumping it up. So it's not active yet. Give me time to like put it in my system, get it set up with the code and everything. But yeah, I appreciate you guys, and I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. And I think I forgot to mention it, but if you want to try Outlier, this is my favorite app. Just sign up to the link below, and then you'll get a week free. You can enjoy it through Thanksgiving and Black Friday, all these sports we've got all weekend. So have a good one, guys. I will catch you in the next one. God bless.